because the cover fits around the bottom of the back, you remove it from the front. When you're driving and you stop for lunch or gas or whatever, just touch the hubs on each side. They ought to be basically the same temperature as the day, or maybe just a hair warmer. Now bear in mind, if one side is sitting in the hub may be warmer, just because it's been sitting in the sun. But you want nominally both of them should be equal, except of course if one is in the sun and one is not. If you focus in here, this is a little rubber cover. You can peel that off. You see the grease. You don't want to mix types of grease. You also want to replace this should it become dry rotted with the sun. If you need to remove the hub, you would remove the wheel. You would get a little screwdriver in here and pull this metal piece off. Then there's a cotter pin, and you would pull the cotter pin out and undo the nut, and the entire hub would come off. If that grease were to ever look like speckle paint, it's definitely time to swap the hub. The first sign of failure would be the seal in the back leaking, and you would see grease somewhere on the inside of this wheel. If you first see that, you may want to wipe it down and run a little further to see if it's really leaking or if it's just a fluke. And if you see more grease showing up, that means at least the grease seal in the back is going bad. And if you're on the road, you may want to consider swapping the hub. If you were to continue, you'd probably notice it getting warmer than the sister hub. And if you were to continue yet further, you would start to see speckle pattern in the grease. It would look like metal flakes in the paint or glitter, in which case you've already gone too far, like it's time to immediately change that hub. I would not be pulling this off frequently to inspect it, because you're more likely to introduce dirt. It's important not to mix greases. On this particular trailer, we've used the Tractor Supply heavy duty grease. It's kind of a red in color, and you can see it in there. Also though, like I said before, just check this that it's not dry rotting with sunlight, not getting a little crackly, because if it does crack, you don't want it to let water and dirt into the hub. On this one, we've got a spare hub in the trailer. So here's the trailer. The spare hub is up here. Another word about the trailer itself. When you're running these down the road, these campers in general, it's almost, as they hit bumps and things, it's almost like an earthquake is happening inside. And any stuff you have loose, stuff can fall out of cabinets, cabinet doors can pop open if there's something heavy behind them. So you may want to position things so that they don't do any damage. For example, these pieces of wood I'm going to end up removing, because going down the road with them, they may snag this screen and tear it, and we don't want that to happen. In general, with trailering, you want between 5 and 10% of the weight in the tongue. If you have too little weight, the trailer will tend to oscillate as you go down the road. That's not likely with this, because the axle is so far back. This particular design, it'd be very difficult to make it oscillate. You'd have to put a lot of heavy things in the very back of the trailer. I mean, perhaps if you put a tray on the 2-inch receiver in the back and put heavy things in the tray, you might be able to get it to unload the tongue, but the way it's set up, that's not likely to occur. The cover goes back on the way it came off, started in the back and then just rotated over. It's one thing, when you couple the trailer up, you want this latched. Every now and then put a little dab of grease under the coupler, because as the trailer turns, if you don't, it theoretically possibly could unscrew the ball. If these chains should be crossed under the coupler when they hook to your tow vehicle. If the chains are too long, you can make them pretty much as short as you want by just twisting them. The idea is that if the coupler fails, it's to drop on the crossed chains and not have the coupler go into the road and have the whole trailer pole vault. So that's why you want them crossed under the coupler.